Good morning. It's September 20th, 2016, and I will call the Wright County Board meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got a nice crowd here today. That's good to see.
I think it's all the security for Brian Jans myself.
Yeah, he's got a lot of backup there.
The minutes of September 13th, 2016.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion we approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And the agenda. Any additions or amendments to the agenda? Mr. O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to petition on a recognition of Joe Carpenter in her retirement.
Okay. Why don't we take that first off here after we're done approving the agenda? So we'll get that in just a couple minutes. Thanks, Pat. Anybody else have any additions or changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I will move the amended agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Delyden. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And the consent agenda.
We're going to do the Captain O'Malley's first or not?
Oh, right after the consent agenda. And the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
No, second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delyden. Any further discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Captain O'Malley, the podium is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to come onto the agenda today. We'd like to recognize Joe Carpenter, our program coordinator for the Wright County Sheriff's Office Jail. She started with us in June of 1988 as one of, I think, the first 4 corrections officers, civilian corrections officers hired with the jail. In 1989, in December of 89, she was moved to and promoted to the position of program coordinator, so she is our jail's very first program coordinator. And so everything programs related that we have today is all because of Joe Carpenter. She's done it all. She got heavily involved with the Minnesota Jail Program Services Association, I believe is what, MAJPS. And then through that, that's a state organization. It's now melded with the Minnesota Sheriff's Association, but through that she worked as, I believe, officer for a number of years in that association, and is known throughout the state for her programming and the things she's done. She's cultivated a program in our program area in our jail that we have well over 100 volunteers. We have a number of different programs. We've expanded adult basic ed and all the different religious and addiction type programming that we could possibly do. She's worked with court services to bring in a chemical dependency program that's operating within the jail. I just can't even list all the different things that she's done. So I'd like to bring Joe up and present her with a plaque for appreciation of her service to us, and give her a moment to.
Cool. June 13, 1988, Sheriff Wolf took a chance and saw a vision, and I guess we worked out. There were 4 of us that started, and Tim Pipple and Chris Hewsome started shortly after that first 4. It's been a privilege. I feel very proud to be part of the Sheriff's Office. What I don't think people realize across the state is how the Wright County Sheriff's Office and jail and programs are revered by other facilities They seek knowledge from our place, and it's pretty neat to be involved with that group. I don't know if the board realizes how strong of department the sheriff's office is, but it's pretty cool. And I appreciate the recognition. I've always said that I've worked for 4 different sheriffs and 4 different jail administrators, and each one's gotten a little bit better. So I see the vision as a future. We have bases, and each person that's stepped into position has expounded it further. And I only see the future to be much more, much more. So thank you. I appreciate the acknowledgement.
I don't know if it's gonna do a photo or not, I guess. We've got the camera out right here, so, yeah.
Yes. We want to go up there too.
Can we get in on it too, Pat?
Yes, most definitely.
Maybe I assume you're gonna get in on this.
I'll get one else. I'll get one else.
One of the few, yeah, that's true.
So you said that, the jail administrators have gotten better since, now is that from your training then, as time went on?
Well, she's still employed, so she has to say it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you. I will, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for coming in.
Well-deserved recognition.
Yeah, with all the deputies here, who's babysitting out there?
Yeah, hurry back. Bob Hevola, good morning, Bob.
Hey, good morning, Board. The first item on the agenda was in response to Commissioner Delight, you had asked for an update on County Ditch 38. Board, if you remember, County Ditch 38 is our one that goes underneath the trailer park. This is one that had been redetermined. So Jan reached out to Mike Young, our ditch inspector, and asked him to update you on a narrative. So in your package should be an update on County Ditch 38. He is looking at a repair by the culvert, and he's working with the landowners and DNR. I really don't have much more to add to his report, but if you have questions, I can definitely get back to Mike on those.
No, I appreciate it. I've had some people actually that own property out there that live in St. Michael that have asked me, since we've spent so much of their money, what's going on?
Right. Board, I will add, I mean, that is a ditch that does need a repair to it.
So right now, from my understanding, it's just too wet to do anything over, and we gotta start at the end and work our way back.
Yeah, this year we never got a dry time.
No.
In fact, it's been 2 years in a row we haven't got a dry time in late summer and, which is
Yeah.
pretty unusual.
On Board, I haven't gone out there to inspect it, but I have not heard a lot of flooding issues either on that ditch. So I'm not sure if somehow that ditch is functioning a little bit better than it had in the past. Remember that paint company south of 12 was always encroached on by floods?
Well,
I haven't heard that.
The ditch has always functioned, it's just not real good, but I think our rains this year, even though we've gotten a lot of rain, have been more spaced out. We haven't got that 8 or 10-inch rain that we've gotten in other years that really,
No, that paint company put in a berm, that's helped them some.
Okay.
But, no, there's just some areas that have backed up. They've always been backed up. The farmers would just like to move it along a little bit better, but I think they understand too that the way the weather's been, there really isn't anything that can be done.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Okay, the second item on the agenda is to approve the August budget reports. Now, Board, I was working with OpenGov, and we tweaked some things, so me showing it to you online, I need to go in there and reconfigure some of the things, but I did print out some quick summaries for you. So I'm going to show them up here. And I'm envisioning that potentially in the future, what I'll do is I'll create a packet for you. But on a prorated budget, we're doing okay. Our expenses are pretty close to budget. Our revenues are down a little bit because we don't have the property tax settlement. Then I'll alert you to another area here.
Just go back to that one once. We got 2014, why do we have oh, is that 16 over there, or is that 14 to the right?
The striped lines are the budgets.
Oh, that says, I thought it said 14, I was just wondering why you were comparing 14 and 15, but that's 16 over there.
Yeah,
Right?
It's 15
Yeah.
and 16.
Okay.
Fuzzy.
Online, I can show you 13 through 16. I can show you as many years as we have in there, but I figured for presentations on paper, I would show you 2 years. So 15 to 16. On our revenues, obviously, you can quickly see that we're short on property taxes. We're short on property taxes both years. But we're also kind of short on the state aids. And the state aids is tied to the highway construction funds. You see that, well, people on the, right here, the state aid regular construction, we've done the projects, we just haven't collected the funds yet. So that's why if you look at the 15, we had collected those funds, so that's why I think the revenues are down in 16 compared to 15. The rest of them look pretty good. Our fees for services is actually exceeding budget. So what I did is I tried to identify where that's coming from. And part of it is coming from our actual fees in each of our departments. And again, I've alerted you to the consistent boarding of prisoners has been doing quite well. Our fees, here's where our fees are coming in. And during the budget process, sorry, these are kittywampus. Right here, planning and zoning, that's one that we identified in the budget process. We did increase that revenue going into 17, but again, we're just on a pattern of our fees coming in a little bit better, which is a positive sign.
So Bob, am I to interpret that then by looking at the two right columns, that right now, at the end of August, we're actually ahead of what we budgeted for the whole year for fees?
For fees, yes. Yep.
Okay,
And a good part of that is, remember, is going to be that boarding of prisoners.
exactly.
So, the assessor, just so you know, again, we bill out those contracts early, so that's why they seem to be above prorated budget.
But go back to that.
Yep.
The 2016 column there, the second one from the right, that's not a prorated 2016, that's the entire 2016?
No, board, the actual columns, the solid colors, those are as of August of 15 and August of.
Okay. Yep, the actual is the right one, the August one.
Yep.
But is 2016 66% of the budget? In other words, 8/12 of the budget, what you have in that second column? Or is the 2016 column the entire 2016, 100% of it?
It'd be 8/12 of the budget and 8/12 of the actual.
Oh, it's 8/12 of it, okay. I thought maybe
Well,
we were, that was
When I
entire.
say
okay.
actual, Commissioners, that's the actual, it's not 8/12 of the year. It's the actual revenues or actual expenses through August.
But,
And the budget part too.
In the budget, it would just be 8/12 of the budget.
okay, yeah. I was thinking maybe we actually were above, beyond the entire budget
No.
already after
No.
8 months,
Or that-
okay.
Just real quick on expenses. Again, this is what I said right away. On a prorated budget, the last two columns, you can see that we're pretty close to right on budget for expenses. And just about every category is in the appropriate range of where we are with the budget. The personnel cost is a large box. Do you want me to move on? Or Pat, you want to see this more?
No, that's fine, thank you.
I mean, I want to fix up the titles on the sides. But personnel costs, again, 2 consecutive years through August, we tend to be a little bit below budget. We have open vacancies, positions that haven't been filled yet. We have wages and we have the related benefits. So we're on on pace to see some savings in personnel costs.
Have you guys figured out the deal yet at Human Services on why their budget was so skewed? Because it showed that their salaries or their payroll was actually opposite of that. That somehow in the budget or something got goofed up there.
Right. Commissioner Delight, I guess I'm not aware that we still have an open issue, but I can follow up.
And maybe you have, and I can't remember.
Lindsay, is
but-
this the one that is done, or? Okay.
Okay,
Commissioners, we'll look into it, but if
I'll
there's
give you directions later.
Going back to the expenses, we saw, again, this is just a visual thing, but you'll see that this repairs and maintenance is above budget. You see that? So that kind of alerted me to say, hey, you know, what is going on with repairs and maintenance? And you'll see that it's the highway contracts. We're just on pace of getting our contracts done earlier than we had the year before. We're in budget. Remember, we're right on prorated budget. But the biggest spend of our repairs and maintenance right now is the highway contracts.
So you envision then as the year goes on, go back to that,
Yep.
as the year goes on, since we're ahead of schedule, that column all the way to the right is not gonna go up nearly as much as the one that says 2016 is gonna start catching up and then to that one on the right
The
then.
budget part, yeah.
Yeah, Board, I didn't follow up on what contracts are still out there pending to be paid and completed. But just as of August, this is where we're at. I can look at that and work with the Highway Department to see how many of our projects have been started, progress, where are we at with them?
Well, I'm assuming that's what will happen, otherwise, because we did get good bidding and whatnot, generally speaking, so I would think that we would be within budget.
Right. Now, the neat thing is, you know, going forward is I can show annually how we have done on our highway contracts, budget and actual. But this would be as of August. So Board, again, I'm just trying to demonstrate how I can use OpenGov to visually show you our financial information. Again, we're looking to provide this to the departments as well, so. Board, with that, I'll ask you to approve the August budget report.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delyden, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Board, the third item on the agenda normally should be in your Commissioner warrant packet. Mike had actually received the invoice for the repair done by Dudes Tiling. This is on JD 14 down there in Stockholm Township. The invoice was attached to an email that had photos, so we just thought that it was just an update that we could put into our files. When Jan went through it, with the gentleman from Dudes, I'm not sure Dudes' name, he called and wondered where his payment was. We were alerted that, hey, the invoice was there. I'm asking you to approve this. Normally it would be in the claims list, but it was received on September 3rd, and we want to meet our 30-day window. So, Board, I'm asking you to approve the payment of this payment of $25,754.44 to Dudes Tiling.
And then, Bob,
Yep.
Didn't we have a deal with Dudes Tiling here a few months back where we had to get one in special too?
I think we had a quote on one of our repairs that I think we followed up with them on.
Oh, there was something with that, okay, that must be what it was, okay.
Dudes kind of rings, but
yeah.
Well, yeah, that sticks with
Can't remember
you.
the name.
Bob, this, and
Yes.
this, we're paying the bill, and then part of this will be paid by Meeker and McLeod too, because
Yes.
it's a joint ditch. We'll send an invoice to them.
correct. Commissioners, this is one of our ditches. It's a joint ditch, so we share it with Meeker and McLeod.
And
And
then,
when we pay the bill, then we'll bill them appropriately.
and then to make clear to the public, this money will not come out of county funds. This will then be charged against the ditch system, and the people that benefit, the benefited landowners will actually pay this bill later. So,
Exactly. And Board, I'll just echo that it's spread against the newly redetermined
That's
list
true,
of
yeah.
benefit landowners.
Yep.
The board, that's only, if you'd approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Delight, second by Commissioner Burrell. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chair, I was chuckling about the words on bid sheet number one.
Descriptive words.
I've certainly heard it referred to them as that before, though.
Okay. It's a technical term.
On schedule. Virgil, come on up.
Good morning, Chairman Swatsky and Board of Commissioners. This morning I have two items for your consideration. The first one being to approve Owners Committee meeting from the minutes September 8th, 2016, and these should be in your packets. The meeting was held at the Highway Department building, and Ken Francis gave an update on several open issues with the building and site work. First one was the roof is still an open issue. And there's discussion about the overhead garage doors, the drainage grates, and then discussion about hose reels for our fluid system. There was a lot of discussion about that in the fleet services and vehicle storage areas. Then there was an update from Adam Tagar on the two-way radios and cell phone systems getting upgraded. Still, there's discussion about still some humidity issues in the IT server room and the edges around the office part of the building on the roof that weren't capped, and those have since been capped completely, and that's done. There was a change order presented in the amount of $2,584 to cover the cost of modifying handrails so that the crane can move things into the mezzanine in the fleet services. A budget review was done, and it still shows the project tracking with updated cost, still about 10.8% under budget. And with that, I would open it up to any questions or discussion on the minutes, any changes?
Well, Virgil, we have kind of four outstanding issues, I guess is what I would say. In any brief report relative to them? I understand there was some work on the roof. Have they done anything with the epoxy, or where are we at with fixing the grates? So if you can just kind of give us a short update.
Sure, the main issues are correcting the roof, and that work, what I understand, we're waiting on an independent company to come in to verify that what they've done is going to work as a possible solution, and that hasn't been done yet. So we're waiting on that.
So explain to me this independent company, who's hiring them?
HCM,
HCM is hiring them, and then the roofer's going to pay for it?
yes.
I guess what I want to make sure that the roofer's not hiring someone to give the answer they want, but I do want to make sure the roofer's paying for it,
Correct.
if that makes sense, so.
Yep. And,
So that's the way it's working?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that hasn't been done yet. Overhead door thresholds, that we're still waiting to see about getting this epoxy done on one or two of the doors and to see how it performs over the winter.
Mr. Chair.
So we haven't installed it yet?
No,
then?
it
Okay.
hasn't been installed yet.
Commissioner Potter?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, we're going to do it on a couple of them
Right.
for over the winter, see how it goes, but that's not going to alleviate Donlar from doing it to create all the doors to create the correct pitch.
Correct.
They're not going to get off with just doing two and say, hey, that works just fine. It
No,
goes-
and we're actually going to do a couple of doors to see how that solution works, and then the rest we're going to just see if it is an issue. If,
Well, I think it'll be an issue, but
Well, that's what we need
But
to
I'm
find out.
assuming that the real solution is do two and see if it works, and if it works, then Dunlar comes back and pays and does all the rest of it.
Correct, yeah, they're
You know.
not,
I just want to make sure it's understood that that's what we're.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's good you bring it up, but I think, that would be my only assumption, I can't,
Right.
you know.
And I just want to make sure they're clear on that too. They're not going to just do two, see there's no problem and just go away.
no.
I'm sure they won't receive their final payment either.
Well, I
There's,
just wanna
and
make sure that-
there's money being withheld for all of these outstanding issues.
Want to make sure
So
they're
there's some
clear on what we were
motivation
expecting.
for them to get things
And
done.
I think, I mean, you could wait and see how the other ones perform, but clearly you're gonna have an issue where water is gonna seep into the building that otherwise would not have by virtue of that threshold not being where it should be, so. Now,
That's what we think,
you know, I don't know how you can't.
right.
It just, logic would dictate that gravity would make that happen, so. Anything more, anything to update? Like, you don't have to give us an update if nothing's happened since the last time we met, but if anything's happened on these other two issues since we met, we
Yeah.
got the grates and we got the water lines left, I guess, here potentially, if anything's happened on those.
Right, the trench drain grates, I haven't heard any update on that. The last I know, they were directed to get those corrected in the big vehicle storage area, and we're waiting to hear back on what their
Okay.
solution is on that.
Because just so we understand, we're not utilizing that facility until we get that corrected, correct?
Oh, no, we're using it. Yeah, the grates are being protected with, there's metal plates over them right now, so.
Okay, we're doing that at the time being, okay.
With the, one of the other concerns is having this corrected prior to snowfall season,
Right. We
which
wanna-
is not that far away.
Yeah, they're not gonna work very well with plates over them.
No.
No?
Plus, there'll be too much activity inside that building at that point in time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's when we want that equipment coming on. We don't want to have all of our trucks sitting outside because somebody's in there pouring
No,
cement.
we're using the facility. There's nothing right now that's holding us back from using the
Okay,
facility.
I guess I didn't realize we were, but okay. And then the water lines, anything new on those since?
Well, no, just the discussion we had at this meeting, and I'd like to, if, for board consideration, if we could, even though there was no action taken or recommendation at this meeting, if maybe we could give consideration for the two representatives of the owner committee, once this change order's put together, it's gonna be in the neighborhood of about 25,000, if we'd be able to move forward versus waiting for October 20th at the next owners meeting, because we'd like to get that going.
Virgil, what authorization did the owners committee have up to what level? Is this beyond their level of authority?
I believe 20,000 was, so, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly, but I think it was
Is
20,000.
that, Lee, do you remember?
That's my recollection, it was
Okay,
like.
so I guess I think we talked about the issue last week, and it needs to be done, otherwise we really don't have usable water to there.
Right, yeah.
I know Commissioner Delyden brought up who pays for it sort of thing. It's obvious, it's us, unless it's the architect who missed it, I guess would be the only other possible scenario, because I don't think anybody else was really at fault on it, but. And I don't know if you've had any discussion with the architect relative to their missing this and the fact that it's a $25,000 expense, Virgil, or?
We have, I mean, we talked about it at the owners committee.
Well, the architect wasn't there.
Wasn't there last time.
Well, Ken was there from Kraus Anderson.
Yeah, but he doesn't represent the architect. Ken didn't, I don't think Ken really was I mean, it would have been nice had he noticed it too, but he didn't recommend the bid specs. I think it was the architect that did that, correct?
I believe so.
So,
I find it interesting that in the minutes here, they talked about pumps and meters had worked on a lot of other county shops, and none of them have 3/8-inch water lines, but yet they put it in the Wright County one. But it's because they missed it, it wasn't in the bid, and again, it goes back to only having one bidder.
well, we could have had two bidders, and the second bidder could have been $30,000 higher, and we would have chose this bidder, and they still would have given us the same product, I presume. Because it wasn't properly specified in the bid what diameter it needed to be, and that was how they were able to put in what they put in.
But they need to have the water supply to be able to wash down the stuff. for winter and
Exactly.
stuff, so. I mean, my recommendation is to go ahead and get it done.
Yeah, well, and that's what Mike and I talked about at the meeting. We don't like it, but,
Yeah, so I'll make a motion
needs to be there.
I'll make a motion to approve the the minutes along with a change order or whatever to get those proper hoses in and
Are we gonna leave the final call up to the owners committee then, though, or, you know, to the two members? That's what Virgil was talking
Yeah,
about.
what I'd like to do, subject to the board's approval, is when we get the change order in writing, I would forward it to Commissioner
Just to
Swatsky and
authorize
Commissioner
them to
Potter
make
for
the
their
final call.
okay on it.
Yeah,
You want to do that, authorize us to do that, and that way we, I mean, we'll be looking at the
Yep.
length and, you know, just to make sure, and in case there's,
If that's the motion, I'll second it.
caveat that I'd like to not use controls and meters for it, or pumps and meters.
Well, then make,
Find somebody else.
is that, I don't know if that's, is that a reasonable solution at this point in time to get somebody different to do that component of it, or?
I would say not.
but, yeah, but. But I agree with Commissioner.
Well, I guess can you bid it? Just
Well-
bid it and be clear on what we want and
But
bid it,
Brian
and then
Brian
if-
and I talked to him, and we're gonna look at some different options.
Well, I
Because
understand.
I have some access to some of those other.
But
type
I
of
understand
stuff.
Commissioner Delayden's upset because they've done other buildings, they've never used that small of a hose when it's, even though they get it in the spec from us, why didn't they question it? Why didn't they bring it to the architect's attention? I mean, it's kind of disconcerting, you know, I mean, it's like.
Well, again, I think this is apparently what happened. And you fill in if I'm wrong, and each of you in the room can do so also, but as I understand it, the architect said you need to use this reel. That's all they said, was you need this reel. They didn't mention the hose.
Yeah, severe duty,
Specific to the reel. Apparently, the bidder actually didn't notice the water component and never even had it in. And then, when they realized that they had to have it in, they used that reel like it said, but they put a smaller hose in then. And maybe because they overlooked it, I don't know, but is that basically what happened? You know, so the architect made the first mistake, and I don't know, I suppose, if, you know, the best thing would have happened if the contractor would have came and said, you know what, we're gonna put in that reel, just like you say in there, and this is the hose we're going with, we don't know it'll be effective for
And they
a few
should.
$1,000s more, we'll put in the bigger one.
They
That
should've-
probably would have
they-
been the
they-
ideal
they-
scenario.
They should have questioned it because they knew better, which irritates me.
But the original mistake was made by the architect.
Well, I agree, but
that
these
frankly
guys,
started
but
the, you
these
know,
guys are the
yeah.
experts, they know their business. They should have said, Brian, this is gonna be a problem.
Well, the mechanical engineer should be an expert known too,
Well,
but both
absolutely,
of them,
but-
but then they should have, exactly.
They know their business, they should have said something. But instead, they just went and put in
Well, do you wanna,
something.
do you wanna get bids on it?
Well, Brian and I have talked, we'll figure something out.
Well, I'm okay, if it's okay with you, I'll turn it over to Mark and Brian and let them take care of it
if they
then.
want to take care of it and
Wanna do that?
get the solution done.
Okay,
Have
I mean,
access
it'll
to
still
other-
go through, it'll still go through the.
I mean, you know more about water hoses than we do, than Mike and I do, so.
He deals with it all.
You and Brian can, you guys deal with them, we don't. You wanna do that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. And we can, once something's decided on the solution, we'll come forward with,
You bring, give your recommendation to the, you
The
two give your
owners.
recommendation to the committee, and then the committee can rubber stamp it or whatever.
And Mark's motion is to authorize the payment. You guys, the
Yeah.
owners committee can authorize.
But we're gonna take the, we'll listen, wait for the recommendation from Mark and Brian,
You'll have the
Virgil, and-
go-ahead, you won't need to come back to the full board.
Okay,
Okay.
is that okay?
Right.
You can authorize the committee, but the committee's basically gonna wait for your
I'll
recommendation.
second that.
Okay, then the other issue is, what do we do with the ones we have that are not usable? Do we just put them out there and sell them and get something for them before they sit in a pile for 10 years and aren't worth
Oh,
nothing?
yeah, I think they should go on.
Is,
So,
Mr. Chair,
and
is there-
you can talk to Brian about, and Virgil about the best place to sell those and recommend them to the committee too.
Okay.
And let's sell them before we store them and they're worth nothing in a few years and we just waste space.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, is there an opportunity to see if anyone in the Parks Department can use that in their various parks they have?
Or an outlying shop, but probably not enough dimension for an outlying shop either, I suppose.
Okay, I just want to make sure,
Parks, yeah.
exhaust any other possibility.
Parks would probably be the only other possible ones, huh?
Yeah.
Well, then it wouldn't function very well for a water hose, maybe a.
How about out at a campground? Anything at a campground we could use something like that for?
I kinda doubt it.
Yeah.
Just can ask the question. If the answer is no, then we got it figured out.
Maybe, we could get the highway department, everybody in the highway department, if you sold like, every employee sold 20 raffle tickets for $5 a piece, then we could raffle them off and we'd get most of our money back or something like that.
We have a
What do you
motion.
think about, you can, that can be one of your suggestions if you, okay?
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimous.
So just to clarify, was the motion to approve the minutes or to?
Well,
Both.
to approve the minutes and relative to this particular item that, Mike and Brian and you will bring a recommendation to the
Owners Committee.
owners committee.
And they'll have the authority to approve it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. The second item today is recommending approving a service agreement with Dakota County for a one-stop permit system. And this was brought to this transportation permitting system was brought to the Technology Committee earlier in the year, and the county's attorney's office has reviewed the agreement. And we're excited about implementing this with Dakota County. And we finally got the agreement back from Dakota County, so we're presenting it here for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Deline, second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Virgil. Brian Osselson, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Excuse me. Hopefully in your packet you have two proposals from private appraisers. We, meaning myself and Tony Rasmussen, have worked with these individuals before. These are both for pay 2014 tax appeals. Mr. Casserly, we were proposing to retain him for an industrial property owned by Mayimi, M-A-Y-I-M-Y LLC in Otsego. And Mr. Dolan would be retained for the Bank of Elk River, which is also in Otsego. I do have a couple of corrections on the proposal from Mr. Casserly. If you go to, well, it says, on the bottom, it says one of three, but it's actually page 6 of his proposal. It's, on the top, it says appraiser qualifications. It lists that his license expired on August 31st. That has been renewed, and it's a 2-year renewal process, so it should say August 31, 2018. And I think on one of the last pages, yes, it is the last page. In the lower right, it says prepared, this proposal was prepared on March 24, 2016. He was just using a proposal that he had used earlier for us. This one was actually, we have a revised one that was prepared last week on September 14th. Page 33.
Yeah, that's a problem with copy and paste.
Yep.
Did each of them bid on both projects, or are they just experts on this area and that area?
That's a good question, Mr. Chair. Mr. Casserly, we've used primarily for commercial and industrial properties, so he's kind of our go-to man, at least over the last year and a half, for industrial properties like this Miami. Mr. Dolan, we used for some restaurant properties in the Otsego and Albertville areas. And like I said, this is a bank property. So again, it's more of a specialty. They did not propose, they each proposed just for those single properties.
I'll make a motion to approve the retaining of Kevin Casserly and Dwight Dolan to perform the appraisals for the purposes of tax court.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Deline, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any further discussion?
Just, Mr. Chair, just for clarification, we've in the past paid these out of the professional services line item that the board has, so.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Item for consideration, Building Committee. Commissioner Delyden, please.
Yes, the building committee met on September 14th. Members' presents were Potter, Delyden, Kelly. Others' presents were Wilczek, Job, and Mattias. Courtroom bench remodel designs, it was just an update. The architects are working with a couple of different mill workers for the improvements to the bench. So as soon as we hear more, we'll provide that information to the full board. The Public Works deferred maintenance and remodel. Number of different things that we had looked at. The engineers had been out there with their recommendations. There's a number of pictures that are included in your packet. So you can see some of the issues that they've been having and why we've been having them. There were some different options that were given us. The final recommendation was to move forward with the design and installation of a new metal roof system, which is option C, metal in the report. The reason was that building originally was designed to have a metal roof. And that might be part of the reasons why there has been some issues, because it was switched over to a asphalt roof to save some costs. So our recommendation was to go with the metal on it, which should solve a lot of the problems, along with some of the insulation that they're recommending to do, some spray foams in the corners, and also to redo the roofing part itself, the boards, and re-insulate underneath and everything. So the engineer is standing behind the work, and it's either pay me now or pay me later. So we decided to get it done with and be done right this time.
Making a thermal break right there.
And also replacing the windows with manufactured units as opposed to storefront, along with the construction administration and completion of the repairs on a flat roof at an estimated of $3,000. It's also recommended to move forward with the Mattias proposal for racking, and order the mezzanine structure parts only, and obtain bids for the spray foam project. And I know Alan was getting some pricing on the foam spray. He had requested a number of people, but there was only one, from my understanding, that was gonna give them pricing on it. Everybody else had backed out or too busy or whatever the case may be, didn't want to tackle it.
That's this part here. This is where the thermal break's been. That's on these things here to make sure that.
Again, regarding the flat roof, there's just $3,000 worth of repairs possibly for that. Otherwise, we can go another 3-4 years without any issues with
Is
that.
that the shop?
Shop, the flat roof, yep. Yeah. The compost facility storm damage repair was discussed on that. We're still waiting to get some real numbers back. The recommendation on that was that a meeting of the whole would be appropriate once all that information is gathered. So as soon as we have that to figure out, and also to purchase a couple of cameras for out there, and to see if we could use some of the money that's related to that compost facility for that. But as soon as we get all the information regarding what it's actually going to cost to repair that building, then we'll have a meeting of the whole to make a decision. It's too much for two guys to have a recommendation because we don't know what the future of that building is. That's something that the whole board is gonna need to make that decision. With that, I'll move to approve the building committee minutes. Any questions you have?
Motion by Commissioner Delighten.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Potter. So when are we gonna put like the roof and the windows out on bid? Within the next 2, 3, 4 weeks? Something really fast they're trying to do, or?
Yeah, they're gonna try.
Okay.
The windows, I think it really doesn't have to go to bid, but they're gonna get numerous quotes on it.
Oh, so it's like under 100,000 or
Yeah.
under 50?
Yeah, it was-
50,000 or 100, that's the number?
It's 100,000 that's
Okay.
I think the
required.
windows, and I don't see it in here, but I thought the windows were like around $35,000 or
That
something. Is
number's
that-
sticking in my brain, yeah, to
And
fix
what-
those ones.
And what was the expected cost for the roof?
60?
Oh, so theoretically, you wouldn't have to get formal bids on either, you can get,
80? Yeah, God, I can't remember now.
um,
But, yeah, they're going to get, no, here we go. I knew it was somewhere. Option C, it's about $230,000.
okay, there we go.
So that will go out for.
Yeah.
Lee, make
for
sure
bids.
all Elements Roofing in Monticello, they can do any kind of a roof, so they'll, provided they're not too busy, they're capable of bidding that one.
But this should make that building provide the best and
So that's the
eliminate
flat
some of the issues we've been having.
Some of that's repairs right now.
They did look at, with this company we had out there, inspect,
The windows would.
they looked at a number of different things. You know, one of the concerns was, why are all those windows raining in the wintertime? So they made sure that it wasn't an air circulation problem, and it wasn't, it's just the design of the windows and the building. So this will eliminate that problem. And like I said, they're guaranteeing it.
So just out of curiosity, how does the architect guarantee that? Are they actually gonna,
It's not well, it's not an
who's
architect,
guaranteeing this?
it's the engineer, it's inspect.
okay,
Mr. Chair, to follow up on that, what we were told is these windows that were installed in here were not for this climate up here. They were for like a little farther south, like Missouri.
okay.
They weren't, they were the wrong windows in the first place.
So apparently whoever created, either one of two things, whoever created the specs wrong, or the windows didn't meet the specs.
One or the other. What that you could be,
Would, I don't know what else it would be, but one of those two things.
that would be.
It'd be interesting to know which it was.
And this should have been addressed the very first or second year while things are still under warranty.
Well, and I know how it works when they're doing that the first year. Everybody says, well, there's all the moisture in the building, and that's what it is, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Typical answer, you see it in residential construction, you see it everywhere, and it's kind of like there's moisture in the building, you're gonna have that, and,
Yeah, but it just never got followed up on.
no, I know, but
It
like,
was an issue. All I know is that I will hold this company fire to the feet if this doesn't solve the problem. And I will let it be known throughout the state about a screw-up.
okay. Schedule special county board meeting for November
We
29th.
didn't vote on that.
Oh, we didn't vote yet, Susan?
Oh, didn't vote.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Pose same sign, motion carries unanimous. Schedule special county board meeting for November 29th. That must be the truth and taxation meeting.
Yes, that's correct. Mr. Chair, we discussed this during budget time and just kind of a housekeeping issue that we had never officially brought it to the board for adoption, so.
I'll make a motion to have the truth and taxation meeting at 6 o'clock on November 29th, 2016.
I'll second that.
Motion by Delighten, second by Houston. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Ditch 31 update. Who's taking this, Lee or other Brian? Okay.
Dawson is.
Hank gets this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it was last Wednesday, the 14th, that the board met as a committee of the whole in closed session regarding ditch 31. And we received a restoration order on ditch 31 from the DNR. John Kolb, KOLB from Rinky Noonan was there to, basically had done some investigation and had some recommendations for the board. The only real action items, the board can't take action at a closed session, so hence it's on today's agenda. The only real action items are to have Rinky Noonan continue to represent the Drainage Authority in connection with ditch 31. Basically to follow recommendations of council. John responded to us yesterday and said that he had already talked to an attorney from the Attorney General's office. He's in the process of trying to obtain DNR approval for the installation of basically an intake restrictor that would raise the level about 2 feet on the intake, just during the time that we would be negotiating with the DNR and trying to, move forward from there. So those are really the only action items on the agenda for today.
So we need a motion to approve that?
Yeah.
Okay, so just so Susan understands this, motion to specifically,
I've got 3 items listed. I've got hire Rinky Noonan to represent the Drainage Authority.
you want 3 motions or 1 motion to do all 3?
You can do it all together.
Okay, so the first
Second
one
would be
is hire-
to basically follow recommendations of council as explained during last week's closed session. And third, to have council contact the DNR and try and negotiate, how we're going to move forward from here, I guess is the best way. He'll be reporting back to us, I'm sure, once his only conversation so far has just been with this attorney. I'm sure she had to talk to the folks at the DNR, so I'm sure he'll be reporting back to us probably within the week here.
Okay.
Mr.
Commissioner Newsom,
I was going to make a motion to approve those 3 recommendations,
okay.
but unless you had something
I'll
else.
second it.
Motion by Commissioner Newsom, second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussion? There being no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Brian.
you.
Let the record indicate that in the closed session, Commissioner Burrell was a staunch advocate for his constituents.
Yes.
I tried.
Advisory Committee, Advisory Board updates. Commissioner Burrell.
I do have a couple things. Then you always start on my end, but I'm not ready.
No, he doesn't always start. I know the last 2 times he started on the other end.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yep, yeah, I did. I've been mixing it up lately, so you wouldn't get stuck in first every time, but I think I've done Chris twice in a row, so.
We have the Wright County Fair Appreciation Dinner on Saturday. I think sometimes you guys are invited to that.
Yep, I will be there.
I've been to nearly every one for 26 years, so I gotta get a call in the dentist. You're not gonna be talking to the dentist.
He might have put some stuff in my basket. I talked to him yesterday, but
Well, I gotta give, do you have his phone number? I'll give him a call here.
I have his number, so.
I won't be there. I have a family
And,
thing going on.
okay. And just our visit up to Crookston, to Polk County yesterday, I don't know if I might as well bring it up. Very impressed with their facility, and we have to figure out, I know they had some really innovative things at their courtroom, not just the tip-up walls, but things inside as well, that, and see if there's any way they can come out close to that. What was it, Mike, $150-some a square foot? or-
$180 a square foot versus
$180
$300 a square
Right.
foot, which is,
And now granted, it was construction times, it was more outstate, but they just had a lot of innovative things, and I think Commissioner Swatsky made the comment that this actually might be one of the nicer facilities, especially the courtrooms themselves that we visited so far. Acoustically, the judges absolutely loved it. They said it's just wonderful. And this one judge that was showing us around, what did she travel to? 3 or 4 different counties, and she said it was just bar none the best acoustics of anything there, so.
Good.
I don't know, I was very impressed with the facility and looking forward to learning more about it from the architect, so.
Did we find out, was there any money provided for them through the,
American Recovery.
yeah, during the American Recovery Act? Because that was during that time when it was built.
I don't believe so.
Even if there
but I-
was, I'm assuming the number we have is the total cost of the facility, whether someone else chipped in
Whether-
some of
who
that cost
paid.
or not, it wouldn't matter, you know?
Well, I'm assuming.
But, yeah, Ellen probably should just verify those numbers because
It just seems unbelievable.
I mean, I was looking for,
A shell, whatever.
you know, simplicity inside the building and I didn't see it. I mean, I seen some components of it and I saw about 4 things that save money that I could see and
Yeah.
one was that they had very little wasted space. And I'm talking in corridors and hallways in particular, but in other areas too. They took out a whole bunch of bathrooms that weren't needed.
Yep.
So nobody had individual bathrooms, the tip-up walls, and.
And the ramps, I guess
there was a fourth
if
one, I
I
can't
can
think-
explain this, but where the judges enter into their, to the podium, like in the courtroom, they have, like in Benton, there's no ramp at all there. So they would have to literally carry them up. It's not handicap accessible. And to make a ramp, it takes up a bunch of space, but they use the hallway as the ramp kind of, so it went up and down. It would rise up, and then the judge could go right in, if they were in a wheelchair, could wheel right into their, what do they call it?
Bench.
To the bench, right. And, and so they used the hallway, and supposedly that was an idea by their court administration person. And I said, she should get paid for that.
That was an interesting idea. The other thing they did not do that saved them lots of money, I would say, is they did not use extraordinary efforts to try to get natural lighting into the courtrooms.
No. And
You know, they didn't have a window to a window to a window, or they didn't have a ceiling that went like that and then went way up high to get a sidewall up with,
Did they have natural lighting into there?
not in the courtrooms, and the judges, asked the judges about that now. Other ones we've been in have had natural lighting, they've done all these sorts of things, and they thought their courtrooms were great, and they had no reason to think why they would have needed that natural lighting to get in there.
some other things that they mentioned a lot of things, and we probably, I should have been taking better notes, but where the jurors are, they would have the microphones like this that would rise up. And they said they were getting bumped all the time, so they went to a microphone that's almost flush mounted on the rail. That was something that they did later, and they would definitely recommend that we do that.
You know, some of the ones I'd seen there had dropped down from the
Drop
ceiling.
down, but
The
these-
flush mount was really the simple thing, it's just a little
it
bubble
looked-
there.
It looked real simple, yeah.
And it would have, and quite frankly, it would have been a lot less expensive from the start than to have the one with the big gooseneck, I would think.
Yes. But anyway, it was just, like I said, it was very impressive, and I just want to see if we can
Wow.
stay in that price range, because
Yeah.
that was,
I'd love to be able to stay in that price range, but
Well, it'll certainly be a little higher, it would be higher now than then because it's
well, yeah.
later in time and
inflation,
whatnot,
whatever.
but,
If we can use some of their innovative products, we
Yeah.
might be able to save ourselves some of that money.
but in particular in the employee areas, they had what I would call narrow hallways in the employee areas. And that was the first thing I asked that judge, if you remember, Charlie, the first thing, that judge and the court administrator, I said, how do you feel about that hallway? And they said, well, it's fine, why? And I said, well, it's just much narrower than any hallway I've seen before, and I would, I can see some people thinking, oh, it's too narrow a hallway. That hallway works just fine for us.
Yeah.
So,
No, the public one, I just thought maybe they could have expanded it just a little bit and had some seating, but, that
the
was.
public hallway was wider than the employee hallway in that area, but it was not nearly as wide as the one we would have. But you're right, they didn't have any chairs in there then, because that would have not been wide enough if they would have had chairs, but sometimes I do think we make these hallway corridors too wide, and a good case in point is up on between our auditor treasurer and our, in our recorder area up there. Many times over the years, department heads have said to us, could we go like 2 or 4, like 4 feet or 6 feet out into that hallway and grab some of that space? There's so much hallway there, we don't need all that. But then you put pen to paper and it's like, geez, for the little bit you would get to do it after the fact now
Yeah,
is just a waste. So I mean, there's a good example, and I don't know how wide that corridor is, but we don't need these outrageously wide corridors, you know? But anyhow, Charlie?
And then there is one other thing, and that's, Commissioner Houston, I could ask you, what's your schedule like for September 30th to attend an emergency services board? It's on a Friday this time in St. Cloud.
You're asking me? I
Yeah.
have EMS that day in White Park.
What time?
And
Oh, bummer. Same thing. Anyway, because I have a One Watershed, One Plan in Litchfield, it's going to be a very important meeting where they're starting to work on the governance part of it. So I almost have to attend that. So, okay.
Commissioner Delyden.
Feeling I really have is the levee over in Oswego on the Mississippi River has been cleaned up. And we got an incredible deal on that whole deal. It looks a lot nicer. I haven't had a chance to get the pictures taken, but it's a great improvement, and hopefully that will be a start in getting the Corps of Engineers happy.
Who did the work?
It was a local guy, I can't think of the name now. I think he's out of Cokato. Somebody the highway department has used in the past.
The beaver trapper?
No,
Does he like cut the wood and use it for firewood or something? That's why you are able to do it?
that wood there wasn't really that good for firewood. I mean, again, this was just on the levee itself, on the rock side, the river facing side. He didn't go out.
Right down on it, onto the rocks.
Yeah. He didn't go out and walk it like he maybe should have. Because even he said, I can't believe, because we said, man, that's a good deal, and
Oh, he bid it too low.
oh, way too low. So now, let's just say that when they just go to spray it in the future and clean up a little bit, it'll probably be about the same price, because it's a big area.
I don't know why they stopped spraying it, because I can remember when I got on the board, we'd spray it all the time.
Yeah, the way it sounded was just we were trying to let it go back to be, what was the word?
natural.
So that it would be taken off the rolls or off the floodplain or,
Well, I don't, the county board never made that decision to have it taken off of that, I can tell you that.
that's not what I heard, my understanding.
Well, I'd have to see the minutes of that one. I don't know. You don't remember us ever doing that, do you, Brian, where we actually, county board actually took action to
Was it
start moving towards getting that off the official?
Was it included in when we did the vote on the lakes? Because we did, oh, it wasn't, okay, because it could have been on from
I
there.
don't know, I guess I'd have to see
Anyway,
that.
we're getting it back up to Corps of Engineer standards, working on it slowly. That's all I got.
Okay. I don't have nothing to report except that I don't think any of us were able to make the tour on Friday at the solar facility of Wright Hennepin's, and I had every intention of going and desired to go, but when Friday came, I just couldn't get there. And I think every single one of you had a conflict that day as well, so I don't know if other people are interested, if they'd like to set up a time where maybe they'd be willing to give us a tour of it. I mean, it's the first one we have in the county that's up and operational. It's bigger than what I think we've seen up there in
Oh, yeah.
St. John's for those that went. I just think it'd be nice for us to see it. It's probably unfortunate that the timing didn't work out for us here. And I don't doubt there's probably some people from Wright Hennepin that weren't probably after the thing kind of walking around thinking, I can't believe none of the commissioners showed up.
Yeah, well, it was the
You know.
same day as AMC and all that. other
No, exactly right, I understand. I know there was just, everybody had different things going on, so it didn't work out. But I don't, if people are interested, I would be more than happy to contact someone from Wright Hennepin and see if we
Yeah.
can
I'm interested.
set up a time and go
Yeah.
out there, apologize that none of us could make it and set up a time. And I don't know if maybe I contact them and have them throw out a couple times to me, or I don't know what would be the best. but-
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Is that the one that's off of 55 by their old?
Dickinson Spring, yeah.
By their substation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
southeast of Highway 55, 4.5 miles west of Rockford.
Where the substation is, it's just across that street. On the south side of the highway, it's just south of the tracks, but across the street.
So it's probably not too far from Buffalo Township, actually, probably within a mile or so of
Buffalo
the town
Township
park.
Hall go straight, instead of County Road 14, go straight across and before you get to 55 on the left side.
Not Buffalo Township.
No, that's
Oh, but
Rockford Township.
Yeah, but I mean, it must be in the western area of Rockford Township, probably not that getting,
I thought you said Buffalo Township. I heard
well,
you.
no,
You
not
did say Buffalo
not too far from the Buffalo Township line, I'm
No,
thinking.
it's
Okay,
not
got it,
too
yeah.
far, no.
That's what I'm
it's-
thinking. So more, more to the west of Rockford Township, not too far from the Buffalo Township line, I would think. But, so, okay, I'll give them a call and, like I
that'd
say,
be
let
good.
them know that none of us could make it, and not that we didn't have an interest, but, and see if there's a chance that we can get out there and take a look-see around and have someone give us a tour or something. That's all I got.
Mr. Chair, last week I attended the AMC Fall Policy Conference. I filled in as chair for the transportation policy because Commissioner Okeson couldn't be there. No really earth-shattering changes in the transportation and broadband end of the spectrum. Most of it was just wordsmithing to make sure we're staying on task. Because as we all know, that the legislature did very little last year on a lot of different fronts.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be politically correct here. Yeah, so it was a good conference. I think it was fairly well attended, but I also got to sit in on the board of directors meeting because of the vice chair, and of all the different committees going down, one in particular for Commissioner Burrell, AMC Action, One Watershed, One Plan. I'll give you this packet so you have that. For a lot of good information in here, and I'm sure it'll just piggyback off what you already know. Otherwise, everything went up there. Like I say, nothing earth-shattering. It was one of the meetings was with the DNR person about the pollinators and mowing of the ditches. And there is no plan to have the DNR do that or go forward with that. We threw it back at the DNR that you have all this land that can be great for pollinators. Use that, because you're going to conflict with the safety of the road ditches, that 8-foot. The safety factor is going to conflict with that, and it's not going to work. Plus, the DNR wanted to try to be the administrator of this, and that not only affects the state highways, the federal highways, the state highways, the county roads, city streets, and the township, and it was just no, it's not going to happen. So they left knowing that was, dead on arrival. And that was it for what I did up there, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Charlie?
Mr. Houston?
Met with our META group, META Coalition, last week, and set up our drive right schedule. We as META members go and help check in people that take the drive right class, both teen drive right and adult drive right, and that's the diversion program for people that can attend the safety class and then not have the ticket on their record. And so that's been a great program. People have wonderful comments about how it has really helped them see that distracted driving and all the different things that we do when we're driving, we shouldn't be, has made them better drivers. So, and we also, to let the schools know, we give out $500 grants for different programs that are anti-drug alcohol programs in the schools, and we have those available. But otherwise, there wasn't too much at the meeting that day. So
You should also you should also give out money for programs for distracted driving too, though.
well, and that came up at our Safe Communities. I think I mentioned that after that last meeting, that they're looking at legislation to deal with distracted driving, since it's become the majority of people recognize that as probably the most dangerous thing out there on the road today. So, and certainly, as when they did that health survey, and that wasn't even one of the options, and overwhelmingly, people listed that as another number one health concern, was distracted driving. So it's out there, and we need to keep hammering on that, because people can't do all these other things they're doing in their car. I mean, you can't be putting your makeup on and drinking your coffee and, answering a text message while you're driving.
Mark
Just
can.
Well, I don't know how many times I see a
Yeah, I
cigarette in
can
one
when
hand
I'm
and
in
the
the-
phone in the other.
When I'm in the back seat, and my wife's driving, I can do all those
Yeah.
things.
The
You
concern I
can
have
do it
with,
you can do it in the back seat.
the concern I have with the legislature tackling this issue
Well.
is they're trying to legislate stupidity,
Yeah.
and they're not really good at it to start with. And it'll be like last session where they spent 4 weeks talking about Prince. And ended up doing nothing about it anyway, on a short session.
Yeah.
They're gonna spend a whole bunch of time, a bunch of hearing time on this, and they're not gonna come up with a conclusion or
No, I
recommendation.
think
So they didn't
it's,
make purple a state color?
Oh, heck no.
No? Okay.
They didn't do nothing. They did 4 weeks of hearings
yeah.
and nothing came out of it.
I think it'd be more that it would impact laws and that kind of thing, so it would give probably law enforcement and more. I
Well,
don't know.
they have put a bigger bite on distracted
They-
driving fines now.
They
so.
have.
I mean, it used to be, what, $25 for the first offense, and I think now it's up to $250 or $150 or something like that. They put a bigger bite on
Just
it.
like seatbelt law, they upped that fine.
Yep.
That's the only way they can do it, because if they want to pass a law, they're gonna try to legislate stupidity, and that's not gonna work.
No. This is the one where you gotta have the stick.
Lee, did Charlie and I miss anything on the tour yesterday that we should have mentioned?
I think it was a nice tour. It was good to go up there. I definitely appreciate the hospitality from Court Administrator Narlock and the judges, actually. Nice
And actually,
facility.
that's reminding Charlie had said, we should send thank you cards to all those different,
You know what I was thinking, Lee, and after I mentioned this to Mark, maybe if we send a thank you even to the county boards to pass on to let them know that we really appreciate it, because they, like yesterday, they took 2 hours, the hour and a half, 2 hours out of their time to really show us around, and that Judge Norlock, was it?
That was the Court Administrator Narlock.
Yeah, those were all state employees, not
Yeah.
county employees that were doing
Okay,
it all.
But still, the county board could pass it on, I think,
I think it'd be better just going to the court
Okay.
administrator and make sure that they, share that with the judges too, that,
Okay.
and
Yeah. But I mean,
if
every
you could send it to a
department-
county board and they might not even, they'll get it, and they might not even pass it on to the ones that
But I
did
mean,
it
we had
because-
like the county attorneys, the probation officers, every department was just
up,
step forward.
up there.
Yeah, they all.
That one, we
stepped
did
forward.
have the county attorney. We went through the other, I guess we figured we drove so far, we might as well
See
really
everything.
see it all,
See everybody. Yeah.
But, yeah,
Yeah,
we had,
well-
the two judges were both, very friendly, and they had a pretty slow calendar that day. Interestingly enough, they have 4 courtrooms, and they have just, is it 2 judges that are there all the time, and then they get some to come and go? Is that what, how I
Yeah, it was
understood it?
due to their weighting, how they determine it. They only have 2 judges, Jan and Remick, I think it was, that are there most of the time, and they rotate amongst that 3-county area up there.
But,
So they drive a lot.
Oh, boy.
Surprisingly enough, they have quite a jail operation going on there. I think there was 212 inmates in jail that day.
Ow.
And they housed inmates for 3
Three
counties,
counties.
38,000 people.
38,000 between total.
So,
Between the 3 counties?
between the 3 counties, there's 38,000 people,
Yeah,
and there's 212 inmates in jail.
Wow.
So that goes back
That's a lot.
to we have a low crime rate
We do.
in Wright County.
We do.
When you have 38,000 people and you have 212 people in jail, and we have, less than that in jail and 3 to 4 times as many people, we have, in Wright County, we have people that get up, they go to work, they come home, by and large, they do what they're supposed to do.
We have
You
over
know,
4
they're good
times the
citizens.
population.
But,
Maybe their meal plan is pretty good up there.
Are you saying they serve better food than our jail does?
But Lee, not
Stearns
just,
County
not
serves better
just the one
food than our
yesterday,
jail.
but we should make sure we send it to Pine.
we got a letter from an inmate,
Yeah,
both
Benton.
telling us that one time.
Hey, I do wanna, I was unfortunate, I just couldn't get away to go, employee issues, but, I wanted to thank you guys for giving, the coordinator his own seat so that he wasn't able to fight with anybody.
Well, I thought when he was thanking for the hospitality, he was talking about Charlie and I, and then he goes
I-
on and starts referring to the people up there.
I certainly appreciated the camaraderie yesterday. We had a nice review of the Senate and various. I was getting a nice lesson on political science from Commissioner Swatsky.
I
And
don't know what
good
Lee did,
review
but
of
towards the end of
geography.
the trip, I said, Lee, you have earned my trust, and I let him take control of the rear
Yeah,
air
he changed,
conditioning.
he changed the button on front auxiliary and allowed Lee to control his own heating and cooling in back.
When we were just about home.
Now that's trust, because he won't even let me do that.
That switch, Lee, Potter is right on that. That switch very seldom goes to rear control.
We left Wright County and Charlie's vehicle had 214,000 miles on it. When we got it back, it had almost 215,000 miles on it.
It was 500 and, I wrote it down here, but 553 miles, I think.
One way?
553. Well,
From
I had to
Charlie's
take
house,
off-
I suppose.
I had to take off 4 miles. I did a little detour, so, but it was 557, but 553 after I did that, and did pretty good gas mileage with the van, so.
Yeah. In fact, did you make it all the way back? He went all the way from
Waverly to
From
Crookston
Waverly
and
to
back.
Crookston and back to Waverly on a tank of gas.
Yep.
That's
Really?
big tank, but.
But you got a big tank in that van too, though, but.
I put in, I think it was
couldn't
23,
believe that.
almost 24
Oh.
gallons. So it must be a 25 gallon
van.
tank. It's an
That's a big,
Outlander.
that's gotta be a big
Oh,
tank.
your van?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't,
Charlie drove his
we didn't
vehicle.
go, because we
Well, there was
didn't go
only
to
3 of us
Buffalo,
and we didn't go through
and
Buffalo.
it would be out of the way for me to
So-
drive over to Buffalo and Monticello and up.
oh,
so-
yeah, no, it make more
Pat-
sense.
Pat met
Better
us.
fuel economy too.
Pat met us.
Wow.
Hasty there.
We would've had to put fuel in the vehicle too, and none of us have a county fuel card or nothing, so then they had to go through that deal of,
Anyway, it's a
No,
long
it
drive
wouldn't
though.
wouldn't have been as fuel efficient either.
No, exactly, right. Okay, there being no further business coming before the board, we are adjourned at 10:17 a.m.